Find your voice. Okay. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining me. This is Selena Roane, your host of Close to Death on DTM Wicked Radio. Tonight I have a cool guest, a really good friend of mine from Missouri. Her name is Lisa Livingston Martin, and she is not only an author, a co-team leader of Paranormal Science Lab. She's the host of Paranormal Science Lab here on DTM Wicked Radio on Friday nights. And she's an attorney, but I always think that she's Superwoman because I never see them in the same room, at the same time. And she's amazing. She's a single mom, and she does it all. I don't even know where she finds the time. So, Lisa, how are you tonight?
Pretty good. And thank you, Selena. That's a great compliment, and I appreciate it. And you're an awesome lady that I'm proud to call a friend.
Yeah, right back at you. I mean, when we met doing Shadows on 66, when we were up there with Chip and the Klinge brothers at the Galena Murder Bordello, we hit it right off, and we've been good friends ever since. And we do a lot of stuff together. We do some planning with taking some groups up to your area and stuff like that. And it looks as though we will be the first time speaking at the same event, which is kind of exciting.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Yeah, we were going to talk just a few minutes about the Ozarks Phenomenon, which is going to be held at the Shrine Mosque in Springfield, Missouri, and that's March 28th. Lisa and I were lucky enough to be selected to be two of the 10 speakers that will be there. What exactly are you going to be speaking on? Because, my God, you've got like a plethora of things that you can talk about, like history buff.
They have asked me to concentrate on the role of research in paranormal investigating.
Well, you know what? I will have to sit in on that one because, I have a researcher that does that stuff. I get really frustrated trying to find stuff on the internet, because I get everything except what the hell I'm looking for most times. It's just frustrating. It's like, did I ask for all bot BS? No, I asked for a specific thing, and you just can't take me there. So I get kind of frustrated. That's why I have a researcher that does all that for us. But you've got so many books, and I mean, like Wicked Route 66 and Haunted Joplin and Haunted Southwest Missouri and Haunted Carthage. I mean, my goodness. I don't even know how, like I said, you do all that. When do you find time to write?
It's usually in the evening and often past my bedtime.
Uh-huh. You run on low fuel, I know that, because every time I see you, you've got stuff to do from dawn's crack all the way until past everyone else's bedtime, and you're still going at it. I don't even know how you do it. I don't think there's enough coffee in the world that could get me through all that with your kids, and then you have to deal with John too, So that's another big kid you have.
Well, yeah, that's like having another two kids, really.
Exactly. I was going to ask you what it was like to have to be around Off-White at Gypsy King all the time, because, wow, I bet you were in stitches a lot.
Yes, and actually it becomes a challenge just to stump him at times.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We're talking about my co-team leader at Paranormal Science Lab, John Emmett, and my co-host on Paranormal Science Lab Live here on DTM Wicked Radio. And John keeps it entertaining.
Yes, he does. He does do that. We have so much fun when we do stuff together. When it's investigative time, it's serious time. But and during breaks and things like that, and even sometimes during the investigation, laughing is good. Don't you agree for the activity to pick up? Yeah. Well, there's no shortage of that.
No. In fact, that's when often you seem to get a lot of activity is when you get distracted or doing something else, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, I do too. And, that's some of the stuff that I've learned, all those years of watching different investigators is that you do get the best EVPs when they kind of piggyback your voice, or they're trying to get in on the conversation that you're having with whoever it is and not paying any mind to it. Brad used to say something, I can't remember what it was, something, and I don't remember the saying, I really butcher them all the time, but something about you don't watch a kettle of water boil or something like that. You know, to that effect.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
Watch pot doesn't boil.
There you go. See,
yeah.
I would never have gotten that correct.
But my mom always said it.
Oh, okay. Well, my mom always said what goes around comes around. So I was always real familiar with karma and what you put out, you get back. So I try to watch that a whole lot. You know what I mean? So you've got so many things going on, but not only that, you own a publishing company. Can you tell us what in the world were you thinking to go into the publishing world as far as being an actual publisher? Well, I know it's got to be crazy.
It is. It is. It can be, and there's seems to be unexpected things that happen all the time that you scratch your head and say, "Okay, well, that's a new one." But I have different times in my life. I've worked in the book business in various capacities, and then I've published 4 books through another publisher. And I just ran into a lot of people who had good book ideas, had what it took, but hadn't been able to make the contacts and get published, and just didn't have the luck that I'd had doing that. And
right.
So my business partner and I, Annette Munich, we set up French Point Publishing to just open up that avenue to people who have talent that might not otherwise get the opportunity. So we've had a lot of fun and some success, and things in the works that are coming down the pipeline that is going to be interesting, and everything from murder mysteries to children's books. So
yeah. As I see that, our producer actually has gotten his little children's book going there, and how cool is that? And they're doing really well.
Yes, he's getting a lot of notice, and very proud of Denny that he's done this, and we have 3 out for him right now, and third one, Billy Rabbit's Snow Day, just actually released yesterday. So. It just it's a fantastic journey, and you learn a lot. And I think Denny can tell you get frustrated at certain things, but you just keep plowing away, and it comes around.
Yeah, me and you and I have actually talked about me writing a book and all that, and I don't know the first damn thing. Like I said, I suck at research, but I went and I had to start somewhere. I had to get, some sort of a start. And so I went to the library last week in Lancaster, Texas, where I grew up. And I actually did some research. I was so proud of myself. I almost took a picture of me in the library and sent it to you and go, look, I started. Proof, I'm here. I almost checked in and everything. I think I might have checked in. But, yeah, I found actually proof of what, how when you have family stories that come down the pike, and sometimes they might be true, and sometimes they may be embellished a tad, and sometimes they may be just bullshit, you know what I mean? So I had to find out if what I was being told was true, because I had this real fascination with Bonnie and Clyde, and you know about this, because I've actually went to the Bonnie and Clyde hideout there in Joplin, thanks for telling us where it was, and we checked that place out. Didn't get to go inside of it, but for some reason, Bonnie and Clyde kidnapped my great-great-grandfather. And he was a constable of Lancaster, and he walked in on robbing the bank. And it was actually the first official bank of Lancaster, and it happened back in 1934. And they actually took him out into the woods and tied him up, and he was the only one they didn't kill.
Yeah.
I don't know if my grandfather was just so charming that they they just couldn't kill him or what, but it's cool to see in actual history books because it's hard to get little incidents like that from research, little tidbits that maybe wouldn't have been known had my family member not pointed it out. But I actually went into the library, found that he actually did get, tied up and everything. And now I'm starting to really get into the research of that. But you said you're going to help me, so I'm really counting on that help because I don't know what the hell I'm going to write.
Yeah, I'm happy to on that. But as I think what you're finding out too is I think everyone's intimidated by research, and
yes.
But when you get something that you're really interested in, and then you get that first hook of information,
yeah,
then you go, oh wow, and then it becomes a challenge to say, okay, I got to find more, and I think that's what ends up turning a lot of people into good researchers. It's just that thrill of the hunt, We
know that all too well, don't we? When we are chasing spirits.
Oh yeah, it gets in the blood, Yeah. And whether it's ghost hunting or trying to find your story or someone who's a big antiquer or whatever, it's that hunt that people love. So
definitely, just like crazy people jump out of perfectly good airplanes for thrills. I don't get it, but I'm gonna leave that to them, and I'll just hide and watch.
That's me. I'm not a height person, so it's like no.
Well, that. But there's things that we've been talking about too, about TV stuff and all this stuff, and recently there's been a casting call for paranormal investigators that would like to go, investigating in the buff. Yeah, and it's not being received too well by our community. What a joke it would be, you know what I mean? I would be more afraid of the naked investigators than I would the actual spirits. I'd be like, please help me get away from these naked people. But no,
exactly.
I think it's so funny. I was wanting to get your take on what you thought about that, how big of a absolute joke you thought that would be.
I think it, I doubt it ever goes, and if it does, it will have nothing to do with ghost hunting,
The pixelations couldn't come enough.
But, I mean, all it is people trying to say, okay, we've had a lot of paranormal shows, and they tend to do the same things, and so let's do something just crazy and unexpected. But I don't see it going, and two, though, I understand people going, that's stupid. I think that's a bad idea. But I think people are taking it a little too seriously, with petitions and so forth.
I don't know about the petition part of it. But come on, it's never going to go. I'm sorry, but I don't think that they've really looked. And I'm one of the paranormal investigators that I wouldn't want to see naked. I'm sorry. Maybe when I was 18, but right now, no. They couldn't have enough pixelation in the world to cover that up. I would be like, no. And see, Scott Greenwald's done that before on Paranormal Paparazzi, you know what I mean? He did it.
Yeah.
And when I had him on as a guest, I go, dude, I've never been more thankful for pixelation in my entire life. You were just showing a little bit of your naughty bits more than I wanted to see, but I appreciate it. I appreciate the effort you gave. I just think that they make a joke out of us enough, and for them, they make us look sometimes stupid, or they edit it so much that it kind of makes us look bad. And this would, I think, it would be a laughing stock, and it would exactly not be about paranormal investigating. It'd be about entertainment and funny, and that's about it.
Well, exactly, and and I don't think anyone who would be watching it would say, "Oh, this is this is ghost hunting, you know. Oh, is that real?
How scientific is this? Oh, are those real? Oh, that poor guy. That poor guy. They didn't even have to use that many squares on him.
Exactly. You know, that's what they'll be asking is what's real. And, you know, I mean, it's, you know, I understand people going, oh, please, but, you know, sometimes, you know, we protest too much, and instead of going, you know, just eye roll and going on.
Yeah, it was just, when I got that, I was like, are you serious, man? Do you see that we have the worst eating habits ever? Most of us, and we eat at the worst time of night, and none of us are really, I mean, in shape that good. I mean, there are maybe 45% of us maybe in decent enough shape, but the rest of us, and I'm one of them, so I'm not downing anybody, but, you know, I get winded walking up staircases and stuff, so I don't really think anybody wants to see all that. I'm just sorry about that, but it ain't happening this one. But, you know, when we were, John had posted an incredible EVP that you guys got. Speaking of, you know, when we were talking about talking as you guys were talking. Can you tell us a little bit about that EVP? And I know you can't tell us where you got it, but can you tell us a little bit about it?
It was at a private location back in the summer that reputedly had been owned by Al Capone back in the day. And the mic was in a room where no one was there. Was in the room at the time, and you get a voice that, you know, sounds like the, you know, the typical mobster Chicago accent that says, "Don't worry about it, lady," and "Don't worry about it, lady." You know what I mean? And then you hear another voice that we had to bleep because it was not ready for prime time what was said. And
oopsie. Oopsie. They have filthy mouths sometimes, and you're like, oh damn, I can't use that.
Yep. And this was another man's voice, and then you hear a woman screaming.
I didn't hear the bleep part, of course, because your editor did that very well. But I did hear the voice, and it does. It was so crazy. And when you said Al Capone, you know how crazy I am about mobsters and stuff because we went to the Olivia apartment.
Oh, yeah.
Let me just tell the audience that Lisa has the most amazing locations that you can investigate in Missouri. I mean, the Carthage Opera House, is that still good, right? The Carthage Opera House is still good. Yes. Okay. You got the Kendrick House, and you got, what else do you have for everyone?
John Wise.
Yeah.
And we're actually adding a couple more locations over the next month. And one over in Baxter Springs, Kansas, and another one in the Carthage area that is a Victorian mansion, and so all kinds of things. We also are at the old Webb City, Missouri Library that's over 100 years old and has had hauntings since it was built, pretty much. Due to accidents at the factory that was on the site before that. And then we are looking at adding another location that's in Fort Scott, Kansas, that is a site of a Civil War fort. So,
wow, man, are we going to have fun this year?
Yeah.
Well, Lisa and I set up things called Paranormal Palooza Weekends, and what those are is I take a group of 10 people, and we stay in a place that usually is haunted. And then we have 2 locations that we investigate besides the place where we're staying, and all that is usually under $200, which is amazing. Because you really can't get an event even sometimes, a one-day event for that money. You know, so, and this is, you know, where you stay and everything, so it's really, really a good deal. But we actually were working last time, and we were having the John Wise Mansion to investigate, and then we would go over to the Kindred House or the Carthage Opera House. And God, I mean, the Kindred House has never disappointed us.
No.
Never. And, you know, the Olivia Apartments, when Penny and I came, when we went through to the Villisca Axe Murder House, the Olivia Apartments, I wish to God you could get your hands back on that property.
Oh, yeah.
The Al Capone guy is what I was wanting to talk about.
The Olivia Apartments in Joplin, Missouri were built in the early 1900s. Very, very luxurious apartments, as Selena can tell you. It was just absolutely gorgeous. And during the 20s and 30s, Al Capone's aunt lived there. And her apartment served as a safe house for mobsters. And, in fact, it was the only apartment. It had a bell that ran from the front desk downstairs to the apartment to warn them of people coming. And one of the coolest EVPs I ever got was actually in the doorway to Miss Capone's apartment, and had walked in and was holding an audio recorder in hand. There were 2 of us, we each did. And female voice says, "Not through there with your gun." And Miss Capone was known to, although she basically ran the safe house, she did not approve the gambling or drinking. And she would admonish the boys coming through that she didn't want their dirty gambling money in there, and they couldn't drink. So on and so forth.
So she kind of ran in. She was okay with it, and that's exactly kind of what that was a safe house for Capone and his guys, right? I mean, yeah, they use it. Other people live there, but that's their safe place.
Exactly.
Man, I'm telling you, it was beautiful that night, and you know the story of the young man down in the basement was really moving and sad. And being an empath, going to these different locations, you feel all kinds of different stuff. And you know, we worked together on the Shadows deal, and, you know, I would go into the Galena murder bordello and be perfectly awake and fine, and the next minute I was, like, sleepy and had a real bad headache, and I couldn't figure out why, and then Russell goes, "Well, here, read the history."
Yeah.
And, I mean, I didn't know how they killed them. I just knew they were killing them at that point. And there were, like, a lot of them that were, like, dismembered and put around different mining shafts or whatever. But I didn't know how they actually, like, I didn't know if they were stabbing them, if they were strangling them. I didn't know. And so when you go into these different locations, now, I know John has those abilities. Do you as well? Can you also communicate like John, or is it more like you feel things, or how do you kind of detect spirit?
Well, I am an empath. I'm a sensitive. I do receive images, words, and I often experience sensations related to how they pass.
Wow.
So that I usually can tell whether, were they choking? Was it, something in their chest, their head, etc. Example is the back bedroom at the bordello in Galena. Every time I've been in there, and this even goes way back before they remodeled it and fixed it up, go in and I would have the image of a woman being bludgeoned on the floor, and I would feel pressure on my throat and sensation of being choked, and it's when it's something to do with breathing and so forth. Often people around me were, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am," because I'm experiencing that. And at that location, two of the victims that were killed by the family there were two young teenage girls who had been basically picked up by two of the brothers while they were in a carnival and brought back, and basically were their girls. And in fact, the girls in the bordello didn't even know their names. They testified to. And one night, one of the girls was paying attention to some other man, and the brother that had claimed her got mad and strangled her and banged her head on the floor, bludgeoned her to death.
Oh, wow.
So the other brother turned around and pistol whipped the other girl to death so she couldn't talk, and then they disposed of the bodies. And so I've always had the sense that that's the room that happened in. Can't prove it, but I've always had that sense. And I've received an EVP there, or got an EVP in that room before, asking, did someone die in this room, of a woman's voice that says, "I must have died."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that place is no joke. I mean, the time that we were there the last time when Jason was with us, Jason actually got pushed down the staircase from the attic and scratched, which was insane. And then, the other girls were having a lot of experiences there. But all of your locations, you've pretty much got some amazing EVPs, and I don't even know what you would consider your best one yet, or where you might have gotten your best one yet. You've been doing this for how long now?
In different incarnations, about 15 years.
Wow, that's a long time. I'm like, I'm 5 years in, and I'm like, I'm not, these people are like Justin and them are like 20 years plus, and I'm like, maybe because I haven't been actually researching or investigating, I've had paranormal experiences my whole life.
Right.
And the thing that I want to pick your brain about is, hello? Hello?
Yeah, is this the number for Slosh Press?
I knew that punk was going to do that.
I knew he was going to do that.
I did too.
Yeah, I need to buy tickets, like now.
You better go to the website for sloshfurnaces.com/events and get yourself a ticket.
You ain't got no tickets?
Nope, not on this phone.
Why you ain't got no tickets?
Ain't nobody got time to be giving out tickets.
Ain't nobody got time for no tickets. I just buy my own damn tickets.
Hey, at least you're asking questions.
You shouldn't have gave me the idea to call in.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, God. I should know better than to let him play on his own.
Yeah, you have to supervise him. Did you not remember that?
I guess we are now, aren't we?
I guess so.
At least give me my phone back. Just so I can call people now.
Okay. Uh-oh. Watch out.
Oh, no.
Just wanted to mess with you guys. Okay, love you. Bye.
Love you.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Crazy. I knew that fool was going to do that. I was just waiting for it.
Oh, I was convinced. I thought if he didn't do it, it was just because he didn't see that message.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, so what I was going to pick your brain about is because of the paranormal experiences that I started having was more like deja vu type stuff. And that leads into the dream that I had about the plane crash and all that stuff. And then it leads into the dream I had about my best friend. Now, the reason I'm bringing my best friend's experience up is because for all this time since it happened, I was thinking it was a doppelganger. Okay? Right. Now, a doppelganger is the spirit image of someone who's alive, and it's supposedly you see your own image in spirit form. It's not a good thing. it's kind of like, to me, it always means the Grim Reaper's coming for your ass. You know what I mean? And if you see him, you're in trouble.
Right.
And the experience that I had with my best friend was that he was upstairs drugged up because he had stage 4 lung cancer. He could not come down the stairs. He had not even seen where I had slept the whole month that I had lived there, and took care of him. He didn't have the lung capacity for it. And I saw his spirit form in the door of my bedroom. Never spoke to me, wouldn't answer my questions, and when I got up to chase him after he turned and walked away, it wasn't there. So, with me being new and trying to figure out what the hell I just saw, and it scared me so bad because I'd seen Ghost Adventures, I'd seen everything else, and I was like, that's a damn doppelganger, and a doppelganger's bad news, and I was so afraid that my best friend saw that, because if he did, that meant, oh my God, he's going to die on me, and I'm there by myself, you know. So, but I was told the other night by someone that it could have been an out-of-body experience or astral travel. What do you think about the possibility of that being the case? Him being drugged up, wanting to come and check on me, so his spirit shows up at my door?
That is possible, and because people can astral project, and people can dream walk, and I've experienced that with people doing that before, and so it's very possible, and I know you've said he was, drugged up a lot, probably on pain medicine and everything else.
Yes, morphine. He was on liquid morphine and time-release morphine.
So, well, and, to be perfectly honest, usually people who are able to do that, they work at it and practice and learn that skill. Basically, I guess the only way I can describe it is letting go enough to be able to do that. But certainly, perhaps under those kind of circumstances, he might have been able to let go more easily to have projected, or if he was dreaming at the time, it could have been also dream walking. And were you asleep at the time and woke up, or were you awake?
No, I had just put him up there, and he was right above me, and I'm downstairs, and every time he needed me, he would knock on the floor, and I would run up there. Well, I had just got him all comfortable. He didn't have his sweatshirt on, just his sweatpants, and he was all, as comfortable as one could be with stage 4 lung cancer. He couldn't sleep laying down, so he had to kind of do Indian style and lean up kind of in a V shape into his couch and ottoman kind of thing. And so I gave him this medicine. I went downstairs and I called my wife, and I was talking to my wife on the phone. And the door kind of opened a little bit to the bedroom, and I was trying to be quiet not to wake him or disturb him or whatever. And I thought it was the cat. Well, it wasn't. And then the door opened a little bit further. And when it did, it looked like he was standing in my doorway. However, the shading from the outside, I didn't have any blinds on my window, and the shading or the lighting was making it to where you really couldn't see his face that clearly. It was just I could see his hair and his, clothing and stuff, but I really couldn't see details of his face because it was dark. And I went, Kenny, dude, are you okay? And it didn't say anything. And I went, dude. And I thought, oh, my God, he's messed up, and he wandered down here somehow, and it just turned away from me when I asked if he was okay, talked to me, just turned away and started walking, and I jumped right up immediately after that, and it was gone.
Well,
it was gone.
I think that's possible that it was astral projection, or maybe even, to be perfectly honest, in the condition he was, maybe almost a near-death experience. Maybe, he was gone for a moment and had an out-of-body experience.
That's what I kind of was trying to think or trying to figure out if maybe that's what had happened, because he was so, on the verge. But he didn't pass away. He just kept hanging on. It was I was going to take him to get his hair cut, gave him his stuff, went downstairs to get my backpack and come back up and get him, and he had taken more medication, and I didn't know about it.
Right.
So I get him over to the hair place to get his hair cut, and he almost passes out in the chair. And so I get him home, and he wouldn't respond to me, and I'm screaming in his face.
Right.
You know, going, "Are you okay?" Because he wasn't responding to me, and he was jerking real bad, and it was freaking me out. And so I called 911, and they took him. This was 2 nights after I saw his image in my door.
Right.
2 days actually, and they took him to the the hospital, and he never came home.
Okay.
But he lasted quite a while after that. That's what freaks me out so bad. That's why I was wanting to get your take on what you thought it could be, because I know what I saw.
Right.
You know?
Right. Well, I could see it perhaps being astral projection, even if it was not, intended,
Right.
but under the conditions, or maybe it was a near-death, out-of-body experience. If he, perhaps he was gone for a minute, and
he came to tell me bye, or to see me one last time, or I don't know,
or decide, whoops, not quite time,
better go back up and get my body again. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it really, I was already into the paranormal anyway, after my mom passed, and I wanted to, get, in communication and contact with her to know that she was okay. It just was eating me alive.
Right.
And I could help all these other families now, but my mom still hadn't quite made her appearance, and I couldn't figure out why. And so, when I went to go take care of him, it meant a lot, because I really couldn't take care of my mom when she was like that, so it meant a lot to me. But that whole thing, I was already into the paranormal about wanting to contact Mom, but then when Kenny passed away, it just kind of, and I saw what I saw, it catapulted my passion for the paranormal into space. I mean, I'm just I have to have answers.
I understand that feeling, and I think, I think more than anything, it just shows, the amazing ability of the human spirit, that however the exact reason that it happened, whether, projection or whatever, that we have the capacity to do that.
Yeah, it's crazy what the mind can do.
It is,
and
it just shows we really do exist apart from our body. I mean, we really are a spirit that with a body, at least for this journey, and we don't think in those terms most of the time.
Exactly. I mean, I've been hearing a lot of things too about, that we have 9 lives. That's where like cats do. We have 9 chances. If you believe in reincarnation, which I do.
I do too.
And, the past life thing, we've discussed that before, because we've both had some interesting things told to us or known, about our past lives. And, you knew more about your past life and your son's past life, and I just found out that who my guardian angel has been since I was born, and why he chose me, and which is incredibly cool, and it makes a lot of sense. My actual guardian angel was a slave, and my family actually owned him, and I refused to treat people like that. I would not treat them as slaves. They were my friends and family. They were not slaves. And I got in a lot of trouble for that in my past life. And so he passed away, and I told him, "You can't leave me." And he said, "I'll never leave you." And then when I passed away, and I guess was either chose this path or it was chosen for me, however that worked, he chose to be with me because he told me he would never leave me.
Well, and
that's crazy, but it makes sense to me, because it's so weird that if we choose our family, if we choose these families that we come into, and sometimes I'm like, really? Jesus Christ, man, I had to get into a really crazy bunch, didn't I? Just nuts falling out of the tree everywhere in my family tree. But, I love every freaking one of them. But, if I chose this family, it's so funny how my great-grandparents and my grandparents even were a little bit prejudiced when I was small. Like, they wouldn't let me watch the Jeffersons, and I couldn't watch anything like Fat Albert because that promoted, African Americans or whatever. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And my mother, who I chose to be with, he was complete opposite. You couldn't even think that people were different because of the color. It wore her out.
Right.
And I don't treat people that way either because that's how I was raised. And so it kind of fits the way I feel today about the way I felt about it. I thought it was the biggest atrocity known to man that you own someone else. It makes no sense to me.
Well, but it may be part of the same path or lesson that you were working on before is still, dealing with those kinds of prejudices and so forth. And, often if you're working on something like that, I think that if you choose to be in a family or situation where you're going to have to push back against that, it makes you grow and you learn more from that experience than, say, if you were in a situation where everyone around you believed exactly the way you did, would you really value that as much?
No, and me, boy, did not come into this world sticking out all kinds of ways different from everybody else. You know what I mean? And I am like out there with it. I don't really care, anymore than I used to when I lived in that little small town where, you couldn't even talk about your abilities. I mean, I'm sure that you went through the same thing as a child. You were scared to talk about them. Were you that way as well?
Well, I just learned that who was open and who wasn't, and you pretty well just didn't talk about it. So you just dealt with it yourself.
Yeah, right. And don't cry, damn it.
Yep.
We don't cry in this family. That's BS. Don't cry.
Well,
no, my mom.
Yeah, but being an empath, of course, especially as a child, there would be times you would cry because you were experiencing emotions that weren't yours. And I would remember my mother saying, "What's wrong?" And nothing. And I would just say, "Nothing's wrong." And why are you crying? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why they put people on medications, because scientific doctors and stuff like that don't understand empaths. They don't.
Right.
And we get misdiagnosed a lot because of it. And all the medications only kill your sex drive or make you moody, but you're still feeling everybody else's shit, especially if you don't know how to shield.
Right.
Me being just newly found out that I'm an empath at the age of 45 or whatever, I've been soaking in my mom and dad's turmoil my whole life. My mom had lupus, and she suffered a lot. And so, when you're a teenager and you're not understanding what the hell is going on with you and why you're feeling all this stuff, and your parents are fighting, and you feel more betrayed than your actual mom does, that you're picking all that up, and you're like, why? That ain't my business. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's adult stuff. They need to deal with that on their own. But I couldn't even get in my room without feeling it in the other room. I could still feel it, I mean, how did you deal with it? Did you, ground yourself in music? I mean, what did you do to escape? Did you just hold it all in?
No, I mean, I figured out when I was pretty little, for a while, and I wouldn't know, as I said, maybe I was crying and I'd be asked, what's wrong? I don't know. I probably by the time I was 6 or 7, I'd figured out, hey, this isn't me. I kind of figured out that it had to be someone else, but I didn't know who. And fortunately, my parents weren't overreactive type people. Skeptics. They were not, schooled in these things or anything, but they didn't overreact and drag me to the doctor, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And were just supportive, and I guess I just kind of ended up learning to shield and accept as I went along, and just figured out that, I'm sensing things that other people don't, but, I'm not crazy any other way that I know of, so I'm just not worried about it,
Not crazier than any of my other friends that I have around, for sure.
That's right.
The rest of my, you look around at your friends. Yeah, you're going, damn, I'm sane compared to these fools, man. You know what I mean? I'm the most calm one here, and most, down there.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, and that's, it's so crazy when you're in the paranormal and you're feeling things of spirits that you can't see. That's really interesting because, I kind of, before I was told I was an empath, I kind of knew I had abilities because of the deja vu that I would have, or that really wasn't an ability, but it was just like looking into my life at one point in time, and I had been there, done that. It was just so weird, and I was so young, I'd be like, how in the hell could I have ever been here before? I know I haven't been. Not in this body. Not in this body.
Part of that it can be past life, though. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, when you realize that you're an empath and why you're feeling all your mom's crap and all your nana's crap and all your, cousins and your aunt and uncle fighting, and you just picked up on all that. They wouldn't even have to say a word, and I would know exactly what was up. And it was like, ugh. And so as a teenager, you can run and hide and things like that, and you know where the source of it is. But when you're doing paranormal investigations, and I don't have the ability to actually see them yet. I'm trying to open up, but I can feel their emotions. I can feel if they were happy. Sometimes I get giddy like a little kid. I'll cry. I'll get pissed. I want to kill people. It's scary, because I can't see where the source is coming from. So I'm trying to work on, like John has sent me a killer medicine bag and helped me with the grounding and stuff like that. And I've been really trying to get grounded and get a little educated on shielding, because as a new empath, me going and speaking at these places about it, I've never heard about it before. Like we'd always go to these things and hear about, people, books that people have written, or psychics that actually, like Chip or whoever, that's what was at the things, or actual people on TV, but they would talk about being a medium, even a pet psychic. But I never connected with any of that, because I was like, yeah, no, I can't do any of that. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because you tell yourself, oh, that's something totally different. So that, it's a spectrum, and you often, different sensitives or mediums will get the same information. They may receive it in different ways, but, and then sometimes they receive different information. And, John and I are a lot like that when we investigate. Sometimes, we're getting the same thing, but, there are other times it's almost like you have one spirit that is zeroing in on me and someone else is zeroing in on him, and almost that we aren't aware of the other. But you just have to be, when you're investigating, you just have to be receptive to that.
Right, yeah.
You may get it in different ways, and it does seem, I've found the more you expose yourself to it, the better you get at it.
Yeah.
The more open it becomes easier overall, not necessarily on a particular day, but and tend to get more information. It's kind of one of those things that, the more you do something, the better you get at it. So.
Well, and I love investigating with you and John too, by the way. And I know you've been seeing my announcement about the little project that I started with this studio that I worked with on Shadows, and it's called Spirit Quest. And we want to come up to your area, and I'm going to be investigating with different people. in different areas, at different locations, because I feel like we learn something from everyone we come in contact with, whether it be the living or in spirit. And, you know, or we have an experience. And I want to kind of bridge the gap. And I know that you and John are amazing to investigate with, so I would really like it if you would be a part of at least a portion of Spirit Quest. And for all those that need to look on Facebook for Spirit Quest, please do so and check it out. It's going to be a real, unscripted, because, you know, Lisa, as well as I, neither one of us do anything manufactured. We don't make anything. If we get something, we get something. If we don't, we don't. And that's one thing that I respect about Lisa and John and how they operate. And so I would love to talk with you more. I know, go ahead and tell them again where we're going to be, and tell them where they can find you, and get your books and all that good stuff, because we're about 4 minutes away from the show ending. So I want you to...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, didn't that go fast, right? What happens when good friends chit-chat? It could be hours.
That's right.
So tell them where to find you.
Okay. I'll start off with the Phenomenon in Springfield, Missouri. You can find them on Facebook. It's PHENOMECONE, and also through the HRPO page, which is Heartland Paranormal Resource Organization, who is sponsoring the conference. It's at the Shrine Mosque, which is a beautiful building. I've been there for a conference there a couple of years ago, and I can tell you that I certainly had encounter with a spirit there, and they have a after-hours investigation, and they have a limited number of spots for people to join the investigation, and it's worth it just for the building. It's absolutely gorgeous, but even if what I experienced before you come in contact with, that would be well worth the investigation. Going to have some great people speaking, vendors, etc., and Selena and I and our crazy friend John will be there too.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will.
Maybe selling pizza, I don't know, but no telling. But so look into it. Tickets are on sale. Anyone that's interested in contacting me, you can find me through our website, paranormalsciencelab.com. Also on Facebook through the Paranormal Science Lab page, the Lisa Livingston Martin author page. Books are available through bookstores, online, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, etc. And then listen to John and I Friday nights here on DTM Wicked Radio, 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
Ooh, man, she ran down that like a pro, man. I ain't playing. You rock, Lisa, and thank you so much for being on my show tonight. And I can't wait to see you soon.
Me either. It's been too long.
It has been, but we'll be seeing a lot more of each other this year because I'm bringing a Palooza up there, so we're going to have to talk about that in March. But thanks, and you have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Love you, girl.
All right. Love you. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. That was Lisa Livingston Martin. She is an amazing author, an amazing investigator, along with everything else she does. Please look her up and look up our new project, Spirit Quest, on Facebook. We are doing an Indiegogo fundraiser right now, and we could sure use your help to make it come true. It'll be real, unscripted, and I will be going around so many cool locations. You have no idea, with so many cool people and learning different stuff. So please check it out. We have a couple of announcements. First off, I'll be at Floss Furnaces February the 13th and 14th in Birmingham, Alabama. You can get those all the information on my Close to Death page or FEAR Paranormal Society page. Tickets are at flossfurnaces.com/events. Then, like Lisa and I were talking about, March 28th, Ozarks Phenomenon in Springfield, Missouri. Then we have History Haunts and Legends, Jefferson, Texas, on April the 11th. The Tyler Paracon in Tyler, Texas, on April 25th. Tombstone, Arizona, baby. Tombstone, Arizona, May 1st and 2nd. Bucket list item, cannot wait. And last but not least, Phenomenon in Pennsylvania area, and that will be June 18th through the 21st. Next week will be Josh Hurd. You've got to come back and hear that. He's going to have a tour with his Brush with Evil documentary. It's going to be extremely cool. I want to thank Lisa again for being on my show, and thank you, Syntex Root Systems, for sponsoring my show. Everyone, have a great week. Peace out.